why don't you talk about the Notre Dame game first? The tale of two halves. Obviously, they got after you in the first half, and Pine pretty much picked you apart. A lot of passes down the field, and then in the second half was a completely different story, and you stoned them, shut out on 12 total yards. It's crazy to see such a complete change.
Yeah, I think the first half we got off to a little bit of a slow start. We were good in the early downs. There were 3 third and longs in that first half that they converted. We didn't execute the coverage. Bit on some what we call low hanging fruit on third and long. Didn't get guys in the windows what we needed to get them into, and that was critical. Not getting off the field in the first half, and then the last 3 minutes of the first half was the real backbreaker. We had the interception of the short field, and then get the ball back and go 3 and out, get a blocked punt. You'd like to go in halftime 21-13 and still not feel great about the way you played, but you feel like you're really in the game. And then, but yeah, the second half was a different story. Felt like we had to be a little bit more aggressive because the quarterback was in a pretty good rhythm. And that turned out to be a good decision. Our kids played really, really hard. I was really proud of the fight. Just the urgency they came out with in the second half. A lot of teams at this point in the season, you're 3-6 and you're down by 20 or whatever it was, at halftime. A lot of folks wouldn't come out that way, and they did. And credit to our players, they flew around the second half, and was proud of the way that they played. And unfortunately, we dug ourselves a hole, that we couldn't get out of. And it's kind of been the story of the year. We've been really good in the early downs, and third and long has kind of been our Achilles heel this year. So we've got to do better in those situations. You have to get off the field, especially against good people, or they're gonna make you pay for it. And we weren't able to do that in the first half.
Well, I don't know that it's really a factor. The next 2 games are going to go against teams that are heavy rushing teams, so it's not. But is playing zero coverage like you did almost the entire second half against Notre Dame sustainable? I know the Miami Dolphins did that against the Baltimore Ravens a couple seasons ago, the whole game, just to try to, Lamar Jackson thrown off. I mean, it's been done before, but I mean, you think it's sustainable to play?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's sustainable. I kind of went with my gut on that deal, and it was working, so we kept doing it. People can have answers for zero pressure, obviously, and so you got to mix it in when you do it. And that's a little unusual what we did there in the second half, but we took some risks, and sometimes those risks it's high risk, high reward, and there was more reward in the second half than there was the opposite. But yeah, you got to be careful about when you do it. You got to try to disguise it when you can. And there's sometimes where we show all up and we bring guys, and we show all up and we drop them, and so you try not to be too predictable. But you got to be careful when you do it. You got to be smart about it. And but we took more chances typically than I would usually take there, because I felt like we had to, in that situation, Bill.
And lastly, I mean, obviously you've had some issues on the back end, and you've been trying to find answers. Now you're losing a guy that you thought was one of those answers, Sean Peel. Where do you go from here now? I mean, you've been looking at a lot of cornerbacks, and you thought you'd found a guy that he'd been making some plays for you.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I feel really bad for Deshaun. He was doing some really good things, really coming along, playing with some confidence. So it's disappointing for him, and obviously for us too, because you felt like we were kind of settling in on a boundary corner there. But we've got other guys that played a lot of snaps for us. Elias has been banged up. He's back. I think he feels really good. Willie Collins, who's played a lot of snaps for us this year, is back as well. So, we'll let those guys compete this week for that job, and they'll probably both play. But we've got guys that can play there, and we'll be fine.
Is Duarte in the mix there? I mean, I thought he had.
Yep. Was a guy he 2 weeks ago he tweaked his ankle a little bit, and so he's been kind of touch and go. I think he's feeling good now, so he's another guy that's also in the mix. Yes.
Scott Wyckoff.
Yeah, Coach. John Reese Plumlee, we know played a couple positions at Ole Miss. Now just focusing on quarterback. What makes him such a threat in that offense for Coach Malzahn?
Yeah, he's a really, really good athlete. can really run, throws it effectively too. So he's just, you think you got him corralled, and he pops out. He's made some people look really silly this year on film. So he's scary athletically. Anytime you got a quarterback that can run the ball, whether it's designed or not, and they do both. Obviously, it's an issue, and they do a great job of spreading you out and get the ball on the perimeter, and then he'll keep it off of the jet sweep. They run the power read, some of those type things. So he's a really, really good player. And it's going to be a huge challenge for us to defend him and stop them this week.
What is it about their offense? When I looked and saw their, maybe the fifth leading rushing team in the nation, what makes them so good offensively running the ball?
Well, they've got really good personnel. They're really good up front. They've got a lot of speed on the perimeter. They've got three really good backs. And the quarterback, obviously, that's another ball carrier. So they spread you out. They give you a lot of formations. There's a lot of eye candy and window dressing, the things that they do. Super creative. I think Coach Malzahn, does a phenomenal job. Always has with the offense that he runs, and taking advantage of his personnel, getting the ball to his best players in space a lot. And so they conflict you a lot in the run game. It's not like very different than Notre Dame, where they're going to line up in 12 and 13 personnel and just try to mash you. It's a lot of misdirection, a lot of perimeter run mixed in with some inside run. They're really, really good at what they do. Present a lot of problems.
And you mentioned Coach Malzahn. I would imagine he presents a problem too as a play caller with what he's able to do, dialing things up.
Yeah, he does. Like I said, he's super creative. You'll see a wrinkle or a niche every week, something you've got to adjust to, and you're going to see a ton of formations. They're going to mix in tempo. You'll see different personnel groupings. But you're going to see 4 or 5, home run trick plays when you play these guys. And so you got to be really disciplined. You have your eyes in the right spot. And yes, it's a tough week to prepare because what they do is very challenging.
And one of these games where there's no excuse not to lay it all out on the line. You got some time to get healthy before you can put all your focus on Army. Yeah,
absolutely. My kids are excited about this opportunity to go down there. It's going to be a great environment. You're playing the top team in our conference, a chance to go down there and upset them. They typically play really, really well at home. I think they're playing at a really high level right now, and they're as good as anybody we've played all year, maybe better. And so we're going to have to play great. Obviously, we can't dig ourselves a hole like we did last week to have a shot against these guys. We got a shot, but we're going to have to play out of our mind to have a chance to win this game.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck. Have a good trip.
Thanks, Scott.
Pete, Matt Hurst.
Brian, similar when teams play Navy, is trying to simulate the speed in which Plumlee plays with, because you've faced a couple of guys that are mobile, but certainly I think Plumlee straight line is faster than probably anybody you've seen at that position this year.
Yeah, I'd say the guy up to this point was Mordecai at SMU, can roll a little bit, but yeah, he can fly. Unfortunately with our scout team, we got a couple of guys that are option quarterbacks that we recruited to run the football as well. So those guys know how to run that or know how to simulate that offense and what they're doing at the quarterback position. So that certainly helps in practice. But yeah, it's hard to prepare for the speed, just like people preparing for us in the option. It's one thing to do it against a scout team. It's another thing to do it live when all the jet sweeps and the power reads time up a little different. They happen a lot faster when you're going live than they do in our practices. But those guys will do a great job this week of helping simulate as best they can.
When you mentioned the issues on third down, is it more physical or is it mental busts in your mind as you and your staff evaluate it?
The issues we had on Saturday were mental busts. We talk about situational awareness around here all the time. We spend a lot of time working on third down stuff. I could go into each specific play, but that might take a while. But 3rd and 15, you don't want to jump a 3-yard drag out in front of you, and we did that. We did that twice on 3rd and long and opened a window behind us. And it's disappointing because we spend so much time on it. We got to be better and understand, what teams are trying to do, where they need to get a first down. Sometimes you feel like that's common sense, but in the flow of the game, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you may forget exactly where they need to get to, and you get caught up in a moment, especially if things going fast or something like that. But we got to do a better job of helping them understand the situation. They've got to do a better job of seeing the sticks and communicating on the field. And we got to let people throw the checkdowns and rally and tackle it and get off the field. And, there's another time where we've got, playing Tampa coverage and we lose our middle runner. And really no excuse for that. So mostly mental, when you're playing man coverage, that can be a physical deal. But when you're playing drop 8, zone coverage, you feel pretty good about how all the windows covered, and they executed better than we did. And that's really the bottom line. But it's been a reoccurring issue for us. Been really good in the early downs as we were against Notre Dame for the entirety of the game. It was just the third downs in the first half. And a couple of big plays just really killed us.
With a guy like John Marshall compared to a normal rush end of sorts, if you compare him, and how you would technique to, a guy like Busic or guys like Cromwell, what do you teach a John Marshall who's built completely different from those guys that still allows him to have as much success harassing the passer as he does?
Yeah. Coach Caniglio coaches the striker and the Raider, and he does a great job working with those guys. Obviously, it's different for John coming off the edge. Typically, he's matched up on a back as opposed to an offensive tackle. Occasionally, a tight end, and he's if they slide the protection to him, it could be a tackle. But he does a great job of playing fast, playing with speed, using his hands, working pass rush moves. He's relentless with the ball right now. He understands space really well when he's got a two gap a block or press a block, when he can get around it, when he's got leverage, and when he can slip a block. So he's just got a really good feel for it, and kind of a knack, coming off the edge, and obviously been really productive for us. And I feel like he's a guy that just keeps getting better every week, and we're going to need that these last 2 games too.
You ask him to do a lot of things. Is that something that someone with great football IQ, a guy that comes and pays attention literally every day to everything that you're doing, that you can ask him to do as many things as you do?
Yeah, no question. He's a smart, savvy player, and that guy in our system has to understand everything that's going on around him. Ask him to play in space with a lot of different coverages in zone, and bring him off the edge, ask him to play man coverage occasionally. And so he's got a great grasp of our defense. I think John really understands, why I'm calling certain things, where he needs to be. He understands where his help is. He's one of those 4-dimensional players that we all want to be around here. But that comes with experience, and he's played a lot of snaps for us, and he's playing like a senior, like a senior should. And we're proud of him and the sense of urgency that he's playing with. I think it's rubbing off on a lot of the other guys too, especially younger guys, and see how he works and goes about his business, and they see the work and the preparation pay off in games.
Great, thank you, sir.
Sir.
All right, we'll make another trip around. Wags.
So with regard to a guy like Reese Plumlee, I mean, is he kind of do most defenses have to spy him? I mean, you pretty much have to have a guy accounting for the quarterback on every play, because you never know when he's going to run, right?
Yeah, you do. You certainly have to have him accounted for. You can play some teams in drop 8 and get depth with the linebackers and that sort of thing. And you really, unless it's 3rd and a mile, you really can't do that against this guy. I mean, you always got to have him accounted for. Excuse me. And spy player, like you mentioned, occasionally. When you do bring pressure or you rush forward, you got to make sure that you got him contained, that you keep him in the pocket. That we talk about the four points of the quarterback, those kind of things. So we obviously can't let him get out of the pocket. We have a chance to tackle him. We got to get him on the ground. He's a really good athlete, but he also has really good vision. He breaks tackles, not typical quarterback. So, he's obviously the key to that offense, and we're going to do a great job to have a chance to slow him down.
So you're up to 27 sacks now for the season. Navy had 30 in your first season in 2019. Would you like to see them surpass that total? I mean, is that an indication of getting things done the way you want to do them here?
Yeah, the sacks are great. If you don't give up big plays, they're really good, but it's kind of been a wash because of the big plays we've given up, in my opinion. We've got to take chances. We've got to pressure the quarterback, but we've got to be able to cover when we do that. And so it's good. We want to do that. We want to be disruptive, something we talk about all the time. But we got to cover better. We got to convert on third downs better. So you can get all these sacks, but if you're giving up big plays in the back end, it's kind of all for naught. You got to look at what you're doing. Are you taking too many risks, too many chances? Are you pressuring too much? You need to defend more. So something we're constantly looking at. But no, I've been pleased with the amount of times we've been able to get to the quarterback and even get pressure on the quarterback to get the ball out quickly. Helps us as well. But yeah, I'd love to see us get to that mark. I didn't know that was the mark in 19, but not something I think about. I don't call games to get to that mark, but sure, that'd be great.
What's your guess of 27 sacks? How many are the result of blitzes?
I would say 90%. Some kind of pressure.
Right. So bringing extra people helps.
Sure does. Yeah. It's hard to get home nowadays rushing three, and we're not typically a 4-down team that runs games to your 4-down linemen and to rush the quarterbacks. It's not really how we're built. It's not what we do, So most of our simulated are 4 or 5 man pressures, and then obviously when you zero, you're trying to bring a little more than they can block.
So guys like Busic and Marshall, and maybe safeties like Lane or other cornerbacks who are coming off the edge get the sacks. How important are Busic and Cromwell? I mean, Biscuit and Cromwell to that process. I mean, they don't get the sacks, they don't get the credit, but they got to be doing something right.
Yeah, we keep track of assists around here. When you do your job and do it really well, and sometimes you just simply contain the quarterback, keep him in the pocket, keep leverage on him, allow somebody else to make a play, or you eat up a block. Those guys have done a phenomenal job, and I don't get enough credit for some of that stuff. I think Busic's got a bunch of sacks, and Biscuit's been really close, and so has Clay. But to push the pocket, to contain it, to collapse the pocket, certainly helps. And those guys are doing a great job of that.
And last for me, the catch by the Notre Dame receiver in the end zone was spectacular. Yeah. Everybody's talking about it, Sports Center top 10, blah, blah, blah. But what do you say to Mbidi on that? And I know he's probably demoralized because that doesn't happen very often. You get the ball pinned on your back, but he's got to get turned around and make a play on the ball, right? I mean, he had his back to the ball. That's why that happened.
Yeah. And we were, that particular play, we were in zero blitz and didn't get home. The quarterback got out of the pocket, and we're playing kind of an off catch man situation, expecting the ball to come out quickly, and it didn't. So we got into kind of a trail position. And for DBs, when they're in a trail position, they're trying to catch up. If that guy starts to slow down, obviously that means the ball is underthrown. So at that point, you got to turn and try to find it, make a play on the ball. Otherwise, you're going to get, they're going to call pass interference on you 9 times out of 10. But he caught up. Wish we could turn around and try to spot the ball. I think he tried to and couldn't locate it. And then their guy made a great catch. We say it all the time around here. They're on scholarship too, and they're going to make some plays, and we can live with some of those one-on-ones, especially against really good people. That's going to happen. And the catch on Ray Lane was a perfect throw. He was in decent shape. He was right there. Their guy made a play. The quarterback made a great throw, and that's going to happen. Offenses are really, really good nowadays. And so I can live with those kind of plays. It's the busts in coverage on third down that we really struggle with, and that we got to get better at. But the guys are going to make plays, especially when you bring pressure and you're in one-on-ones. And you just hope you make more plays than they do.
Brian, just one more thing for me. You mentioned with John calling him a 4-dimensional player. Can you just kind of explain to me what you mean by that so I can explain it on the air?
Yeah, sure. So one-dimensional is I know what my job is. I'll give you a short version of it. 2-dimensional is, if I'm the striker, I know what the corner's doing. I know what the safety's doing behind me. So I know what's going on in my general area. three-dimensional player would be understanding the entirety of the defense, why I'm making certain calls, understanding where your help is. And then a fourth dimensional player would be understanding the offense that we're playing really, really well and what they're trying to do, being able to identify, back sets and formations and be able to anticipate what's coming because you prepared and you watched a ton of film. And John, we got a handful of guys that are four-dimensional players. I think John's certainly one of them.
Let's start with the performance in the second half against Notre Dame. It was really remarkable what you all did, holding them to 12 yards and shutting them out. What changed from the first half to the second half, and what do you feel that Navy did so well defensively in that second half?
I would say our execution changed. In the first half, we made a lot of mistakes that we couldn't afford to make. In the locker room, we had two options. We're down 35-13. We could either just go back out flat, kind of roll over, kind of give up, or we could go out there and just keep playing our style of football, keep playing with that elite effort and clean up those mistakes. And we did exactly that. We made a lot less mistakes in the second half that we made in the first half. We still weren't perfect, but that just showed everyone what our defense can be when we're on point. It gave us a look at what we can be. We shut out Notre Dame in the second half. It's not easily accomplished, and we were very proud of that. But our main goal was to leave with the win. We didn't get that done, but we at least walk away from that game saying that we gave ourselves the best chance to win. In the second half of that football game.
So what you did in the second half, can that be carried over into Central Florida? Do you feel that some of what you were able to accomplish in that second half, there's some, you can build on it? Absolutely.
We've talked about that a lot. That's pretty much all we've been talking about, yesterday, today, ever since the game was over. We saw what we can be and what we can do if we just play our style of football. And that's one thing that the coaches have challenged us with this week of practice and challenged us going into UCF is, can we play a full game how we played that second half against Notre Dame? If we can start against UCF how we finished against Notre Dame, we could beat anybody.
And talking about the sacks, obviously the 5 sacks was the big deal in the second half. I mean, you able to get them into third and long and really got after the quarterback. What do you think the team as a whole is doing effectively with rushing the passer? You're now up to 27 sacks for the season. That's close to the 30 that Navy posted in 2019, which was probably the most in a long time, if I believe. But, what do you feel the team as a whole is doing well to rush the quarterback?
I just say playing aggressive. When we go after the quarterback, we're normally bringing more than they can block. Someone's going to go unblocked. I know if we're running a blitz and I'm coming and I get blocked, I'm not okay with being blocked, but I'm at peace knowing that, hey, if I'm getting blocked, someone else is probably coming free. And that's one thing that we've really done a good job this year. I'd say staying on our blitz lanes, really knowing what's going on around us and who has what gap, and knowing that if you just stay in your lane, stay in your gap, then more than likely someone's going to come free and make that play. And I think that's one thing that really shows on film is we don't have many selfish players. We don't have many people we don't have anyone doing their own thing, getting out of their gap, getting out of their lane. I think that's one thing that's helped us, rack up the sacks this year, especially in the second half against Notre Dame, was we were getting after them, but we were getting after them smart. We were doing it in a smart manner, staying in our lane, staying on our gaps.
Thanks, Jacob.
Scott Wyckoff.
And Jacob, from the video you've seen and from what the coaches have told you, what do you know about the quarterback for UCF, John Reese Plumlee, and what type of problems he can pose for a defense?
He's fast. He's really fast. When we played SMU, that quarterback had some wheels, and he showed it against us as well. And the first thing our coaches said was, this quarterback's faster than the one from SMU. So we need to. There are some games we could play. We can get away with losing contain. Maybe the quarterback wasn't as fast. We could get away with getting up the field. We can't do that this game. We need to keep him in the pocket. We need to make him feel pressure, feel our presence. We can't get past the queue. We can't be playing with 9-10 guys, people running past the quarterback. We got to stay in front of him, make him feel us. And really close down those, close down the pocket, take away those rushing lanes that he has, because he is fast and he does have speed. And if we let him get loose, it could be a big play for them.
Each and every week, Coach Newberry brings back the key is to stop the rushing attack of the opponent. UCF, I mean, they are, I guess, the 5th best rushing team in college football. What have you seen from them, the way they run the football?
Still early, still looking into that, how really breaking down how they rush the ball. But I mean, we love a challenge. Air Force was top 10, Notre Dame top 10, two very strong rushing teams. Notre Dame rushed for over 200 against Clemson. And we love that. That's, if UCF has a top 5, rushing offense, then that's great, because we have a top 10 rushing defense. So it just gives us another opportunity to prove, what we do best. That's stop the run.
Kind of cool game, big important game. UCF red hot in the American, but also you get a chance to play in some pretty good weather and also in front of a good crowd. I would imagine you guys are fired up for this one.
Absolutely. I'm ready to play in any weather, but it's going to be nice playing in Florida. That Florida weather, can't be beat. But we're excited to get down there. It's starting to get a little colder up here, so but we're going to be ready. We're excited to get down there.
Also letting it known that you can lay it all on the line, that you've got some time to get healthy if you get a little banged up, because you've got a few weeks before the Army game.
Right. Yeah. That's one thing that we also talked about. We're just going to go as hard as we can this week, because it's one game, and then we have 2-3 weeks off before Army. And we're going to have time to heal, so we're not holding back this week at practice, hopefully.
Thanks,
sir.
Wags.
Well, Jacob, you mentioned the weather. I mean, it's 80 degrees in Orlando today. I think it's going to be in the 70s on Saturday. Are you concerned? You all have not played in heat since early in the season. Are you concerned about cramps and, just everything that goes along with playing in heat when you're not accustomed to it?
No, I'm not worried about that. Our team does a pretty good job hydrating. We played in altitude against Air Force, and we were good there. SMU was pretty hot down in Texas. We played well there. I'm not worried about it. Our guys usually take care of their bodies very well. I think we're actually gonna really enjoy it. It's pretty cold here right now. At least I think so. I think we're gonna get off the plane in Orlando, and it's gonna hit us, and we're just gonna smile. We're gonna enjoy that nice weather, Florida weather.
So John Marshall has surpassed you for sacks this season by a half a sack. You have a competition with him to see who can rack up the most sacks?
Absolutely. Yeah, he hasn't let me live that down yet. He's passed me this game. He's at 6.5, and he definitely let me hear it. So when I pass him this week, I'm gonna let him hear it. Yeah, he gets the title. He's holding the sack record for 1 week, and he won't stop talking about it. So I'm excited to reclaim it.
Well, that's what Jacob Springer, who played that same position, the striker, had 8 sacks in 2019. I mean, would you like to get up around 9 or 10 and maybe kind of be up in that, top of the Navy record books in that category?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my goals. Double-digit sacks. I think I was talking to someone about it. The single season sack record is 10. For a career, I think it was around 20. I don't know. I have to look into that, but those are 2 of my goals right there. Being in a category such as Jacob Springer with those 8 sacks. He was a great player, and being able to have something to chase, and set goals. That's something I would love to get accomplished. I'm at 6 right now. It's going to take some work. You got 2 games left. One of them being Army. He doesn't pass that much, but it can be done.
What's the most sacks you had in the season at Westminster?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I remember my senior year, the first game I had 5, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get 20 sacks this season. But then it was a lot harder after that. So I think I had around 30.
Getting double teamed after that, Jacob.
Right. I had maybe 12 or 13 my senior year at Westminster.
So, do you have a particular defensive end that you enjoy watching? I mean, the Bosa brothers are obviously well-known sack guys coming off the edge, but is there anybody either at the NFL or collegiate level you really enjoy watching how they play?
You said it, both two brothers. You know, my dad gets on me all the time, being a student of the game. You know, and he sends me videos of them. Aaron Donald as well. I was watching Miles Garrett the other day. I think he plays very explosive. But what I like to do is I like to watch full games of. You can actually, I didn't know you could do this. You can YouTube full games of just edge rushers. I watched Aiden Hutchinson's full game edge rushing against, I can't remember who it was, and I did the same thing with Nick Bosa at Ohio State. I really study those two.
So, you know, the Navy recruits nationally, and you know these guys from Texas and Florida and California, the Nicholas Strauss from Ohio. They all think those are football states and that they're best high school football. Maryland is never really talked about as being among the best high school football states, but you and Marshall, and I know he played at Gonzaga in DC, but he's from Maryland. Rayon from Gilman. I mean, do you guys have a little bit of bragging rights so maybe we can that the players from Maryland can play some ball?
Absolutely. I feel like Maryland does get overlooked. That's one thing guys talk about a lot is their state and how good their state is, you know, at high school football and where they're ranked. But I think Maryland, especially the DMV, you know, sometimes we get a little bit of flack for. They say that we throw another state in there just to, you know, be around their level of guys, that we need two states to compete with their one. But I disagree, you know. But yeah, well, we had a competition in the summer. It was state by state, you know. You got a group of, I think, 5 or 6 guys from your state, and it was a sled push competition, and Maryland won. So, I mean, hey, it speaks for itself. Maryland, especially the DMV, we hold it down.
Who was on your team? You, Marshall, and who else?
Rayon Lane, Jaden Umbarger, Brandon Madison, and I think it might have been Aaron Davis, another Gonzaga guy. Can't remember who it was, but we had six guys. Like that.
All right, Jake. Thanks a lot, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think Gianni should be adoptable too by Maryland, being the only DC guy.
All right, Gianni. Gianni was there.
So the sacks record for a season is 10, like you said, by Tyler Tidwell in 2005. The career sack is 22 by Andy Person. He was 92 to 95. So there you go.
Appreciate
Did
it.
Busic have any sacks last season?
2. Had 2 my sophomore career.
So you're at 8.
I'm at 8 right now.
You got to pick it up, son.
I do. I do. Hey, give me a beat.
It takes 14, gets you in the top 5.
There we go.
Scott Wyckoff.
The coaches always talk to, and we hear about you guys having to go hard in practice and how important it is practice. But what we don't hear about is the scout team. How important is it for them to give the top performance in practice for you guys to be ready for a game against a team like a UCF?
It's very important, and they do a great job, especially the O-line. I can speak towards them more. They emulate what our opponent's tackles will do. So when we were playing Houston, all they were trying to do was grab me. You know, the scout team tackles were just wrapping their arms around my shoulder pads, and it was kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. But then we play like when we scout other O lines and they play with tighter hands, they play with tighter hands. So they do a really good job picking up on the opponent's style of play and bringing it to practice, which I really appreciate. And at the end of the week, we have scout team player of the week for offense, defense, and special teams. So it is very important to us and the team. You know, we try to, you know, we appreciate them a lot. We try to make them know that, you know, we appreciate them a lot because they do how they do at practice. The look we get, you know, the harder they go is the closer it's going to be to game like reps, and it translates. You know, when they go hard and you know, give me the best look that they can when I get in the game. You know, and the speed matches when I can try to match the speed from practice to the game, which is hard sometimes. You know, the game's always faster, but the closest we can get to game like speed, the better I'll be able to play on a Saturday afternoon. So and they do a really good job with that. I really appreciate it.
Even though they get a little annoying at times, right?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes, especially when they're trying to copy the tackles that just grab you, like Houston. You know, they will. I will try to hit them with a move, and they will hold me. And they're told. They're told. The coaches will tell them, "Hey, hold our line," you know, because they're going to get held on Saturday, so hold them. And I'll get yelled at by Coach Newberry or Coach Hall because I wasn't in my gap, or I was, or I don't know, I was just in the wrong place. But you know, I was being held. So, but hey, great players don't get held. They say that all the time.
what has this season been like for you, the journey, both on and off the field over the course of the season?
It's had many ups and downs. Not to start that we didn't start off like we wanted to, but we've not the season that we wanted to have as well. But we've been fighting, had many ups and downs. But we've been battling, so that's all that really matters at the end of the day. We're still fighting, so we still have some goals. We still have so we still have 2 more games. We want to win the rest. So just keep battling.
What's it like for you guys coming off a game in the second half in Notre Dame where you put so many points on the board, knowing that you've got an opportunity this week against UCF, another strong team, but also knowing that you can score against top teams in college football?
Definitely. It was good. We had a great second half there, both offensively and defensively. We shut them out in the second half, so that was good. So I think, we have the components to be a really good team, and we just proved that to ourselves in that game. So I think it's great momentum for us going on to this UCF game. So we could hopefully do the same thing there.
What's it been like working with Xavier at quarterback?
Awesome. X is a great guy. Even when Ty was still here, still got a lot of reps with X. He's a great quarterback, and I think he's taking charge pretty well, and we're excited to have him there.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bill Wagner.
Well, Lirion, you've been going up against some big guys. That Cincinnati nose guard was a beast, and I know Notre Dame had a big guy. And this has kind of been a theme throughout the season. How do you feel you're doing against some of these big guys? I know that's why the coaching staff wanted to have you at center. You're a bigger body.
Definitely. There's been some great competition, but I think that's just credit to the teams we play and the league that we play in. We play some great people. It's expected. I think it's been good. I've had my ups and downs going against these dudes, but so far so good. I think we just got to keep building from these last 2 games against Cincinnati and Notre Dame. We've probably seen some of the best guys that we're going to see all year. And then UCF has some great guys inside too. So we just got to keep battling, play every play, and yeah.
So how do you feel you've improved since you came back from the injury and have been seeing more playing time?
Definitely. I think at the start of the season, I still wasn't fully. I was cleared, but I think mentally I just wasn't as ready as I thought I was going to be. So since playing SMU, I got a lot of reps, and I feel like I'm mentally a lot more prepared. I trust my body and my knee, so I'm doing a lot better.
What are anything in particular that Coach Ingram has told you need to work on still?
I think every week just not thinking as much. We've seen a lot of stuff these last 2 weeks against different defenses, different blitzes and stuff. So just not thinking, just go full speed. If you mess up going 100%.
What did you feel you all did well to get Daba going inside? He had a couple big runs on Saturday.
Just picking up different blitzes that they brought. They brought a couple different blitzes, and we practiced and we picked them up, and then Daba was able to find a hole, and he had some good runs.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dana Boyle.
Just wanted to circle back to some of the things you said earlier. You clearly have a level-headed perspective on the season. It's ups and downs. It's sports at the end of the day. How do you help your O-line sort of stay the course through the ups and downs? I know that's a pretty tight-knit unit, but anything you guys do off the field that kind of helps you keep that level head?
I think honestly, we all live by Coach Ingram has a good saying: just get back in the huddle. So we're gonna have we're gonna have good plays, bad plays, but you just got to get back in the huddle and just keep going. Have that 1-0 mentality, and having that 1-0 mentality and just getting back in the huddle is gonna help us through everything. Not just football and life. Whatever you do, you're gonna fall, just get back up and just keep going. So I think that's the mindset we've had, and it's been working. I think we played pretty well these last couple games up front, and we just got to continue to keep working hard, and hopefully it shows out in the field.
With Xavier, what's your relationship like with him off the field? The center and a quarterback is a very crucial component to the game and relationship. What do you guys do off the field? What's your relationship?
Yeah, X is an awesome guy. I have a few classes with him. So we have a fun time. We have fun out here in the Annapolis area. We go out he's a good guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. He's a great kid. And I've known him since plebe year. He came in. So I've been center since last year. So I think our relationship has grown a lot since last year, just because I've been playing with him since last year, especially at the center quarterback exchange. So, but I think it's pretty good relationship.
Yeah. And then with Masai, I know he came in the Notre Dame game, and I heard that I think it was X told you guys, protect Masai. So how is that dynamic when you're seeing a different quarterback?
Good. Masai's a great quarterback as well. He was in the Cincinnati game as well. He's gone in a few games, and I've been at center when he was in. So, it's the same. Our job is to protect our quarterback to the best of our ability. So no matter who's in, we're going to put our full faith in the quarterback and just protect and do our job.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one for you, Lirion. Your brother told me when I saw him in Cincinnati that you got a whole bunch of family going down to the UCF game, including
Yes, sir.
a cousin from Sweden who has never seen an American football game. So how
Yes,
many
sir.
family members are going down, and how cool is it to have a cousin from Sweden flying in to see his first American football game?
It's exciting. So I think in total it's going to be probably about 14, 15 guys. So it's all the guys are doing like a little guys trip down to Florida. So it's definitely exciting. It's going to be, for the most part, most of my cousins who are coming have seen me play, but there's definitely going to be a few new faces who haven't seen me play. So that's always exciting. And then my cousin from Sweden, we're really close to him. I'm excited for him to fly in. It's going to be awesome. Over there, they don't have American football. So their football is soccer. So I think it's going to be awesome for him to come in and have an experience, especially UCF. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. Florida is awesome. So I think it'll be fun for him.
What's his name, Lirion?
Dan.
Spell that for us.
Dardan.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Scott
you, guys.
Wyckoff.
Yeah, Lirion, how fired up are you guys knowing that you can lay it all on the line in this game against UCF, knowing that you still got plenty of time to maybe get healthy again and get ready for Army after that, but you guys can really go after it against UCF?
Definitely. That's a mindset we got to have this week. Just come off the ball, lay it all on the line. We have this game, and then we have 3 weeks to get ready for Army afterwards. So we definitely want to go into Army on a high note. So we're definitely going to go all out for this game. So we're definitely excited up front. We're going to go all out, and then we have time to recover before Army at the end of the year.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bill Wagner.
Lirion, why is all your family going to this particular game? They're from Pittsburgh. They combining this with a trip to Disney World or something?
No, so for the most part, my family comes to every game. My brother comes to every game. And then we have some cousins down in Orlando. And then, Pittsburgh's not a fun time around this year. It's pretty cold. So the Florida sunshine should cheer everyone up down there.
So talk about what you all have to do offensively. We know all about how powerful the Central Florida offense is. That's talked about all the time, but their defense is pretty doggone good too, and it's been getting after teams. What do you got to do to, establish the offense and put up the kind of points? Because you probably have to score some points to beat this team.
Yes, sir, definitely. So it's going to start from the beginning. Once we get the ball, we're going to have to have possession of the ball, do what our offense does best, which is hold on to the ball, and then when it comes time to execute on the plays we have put in, and score when we have the opportunity to score.
So not to bring up a bad thing, but Saturday there were several false start penalties, 3, I believe, and you just can't have those pre-snap penalties. Was there something going on with the snap count or the cadence or something that got guys confused? And What does Coach Ingram and Coach Rourke probably aren't too happy about that, huh?
Yes, sir. So it was a little bit chaotic there at the end. We're just trying to drive it down. We had some miscommunication, but we can't have that. Up front, we just had some miscommunication, and that'll be all taken care of, and we'll be ready to go for UCF.